Let me take a few minutes to talk about a passage of scripture that's really dear to my heart. It's very helpful, very encouraging. I'm going to read a segment of it and then we'll just walk through some of the points of that. But I want you to notice the first line of this passage starts with the phrase, do not fret. It means do not be upset, do not worry, do not freak out, if you will. And then it's sort of sandwiched. There's the do not fret phrase, and then there's the things we're going to be talking about, and then it's sandwiched on the other end with the same phrase, do not fret. So basically what we're going to hear in this passage is don't fret, rather do this. So this passage is Psalm 37. I'm going to read verses 3 through 7. Trust in the Lord and do good, dwell in the land and feed on his faithfulness. Delight yourself also in the Lord, and he shall give you the desires of your heart. Commit your way to the Lord, trust also in him, and he shall bring it to pass. He shall bring forth your righteousness as the light, and your justice as the noonday. Rest in the Lord and wait patiently for him. And here's that phrase, do not fret. So first, I want us to see that number one, the first directive in this list of items that the psalmist is giving us starts with trust in the Lord. And trust seems to be the theme of the entire passage. I'd go as far as to say is that if we're not trusting God, we will not be able to do these other items on the list. And so he starts with this idea of trust God. And I don't know about you, but I struggle with this. This is one of the things I struggle with on an ongoing basis. I'd like to think I'm trusting God at times, and then I realize, oh, well, I'm actually trusting in myself. A picture that comes to mind when I think about trust is when I was a young man, only 18, our Christian band, there were 5 of us, we got in a van and drove to Dallas, Texas to buy brand new equipment. And we would each take turns driving. Well, it just so happens my turn was in the middle of Dallas, and I had all my other buddies leaning over the seat, saying, "Hey, watch that truck, watch," basically telling me how to drive. And pretty obvious they did not trust me and they didn't trust my driving. Now, maybe I didn't give them a reason to trust, but the point is I was driving. They had entrusted driving to me, but they weren't trusting me, right? They were doing backseat driving. And I find myself doing that with the Lord. It's like, okay, Lord, you're going to drive, you're in charge. I'm going to trust you. I know you can get this done. But at the same time, I'm leaning toward the front and say, Lord, did you see this? Are you thinking about this? Are you aware of this? And I'm like trying to backseat drive in my life. And it is a glaring example of the fact that I am not trusting in God. I'm actually trusting in myself. So the idea of trust implies a certain amount of confidence, that we have confidence that God is going to do exactly what he said he would do. And the Bible is full of promises. This passage that we're looking at today is a list of promises where God is intimately involved in our lives. And so we have a choice when we are upset, when we're bothered. Most of the time when we're upset, we don't focus on anything except the problem, right? And so God says, don't worry about that. I'm going to take care of that. I'm your shepherd. I've gone before you. I'm going to make sure everything works out the way I've planned it to work out. Yet we tend to fret over the things that we either don't have control over or the things that we worry about or feel threatened by. So I want to ask you, how are you doing trusting God with the thing that bothers you the most, or with the person who bothers you the most? That thing, that burden that you carry and you feel like you can't seem to let it go. I want to encourage you to cast that burden on the Lord today and just pause for a moment and just pray, Lord, help me to trust you, because I really do want to trust you. Keep this in mind. Now, we'll look at the rest of this passage in future posts, but for now, take that moment consider where you are in your relationship with the Lord and just whisper that soft prayer. Lord, teach me to trust you.